Greetings, everybody. Happy Thursday. Got a slobber knocker of a game tonight. Joel Rowan behind the microphone. Of course, Lions and Cowboys feels like a playoff game for sure. If either team who loses, their chances tend to plummet closer and closer to the abyss. Who am I picking for the game? I'll get to that after I get after the very quick recaps from Week 13, and it was definitely an interesting week, starting off, of course, with the triple header from Turkey Day Football. Lions go down to the Packers. The Packers win 31-24 as Matt LaFleur out-Campbell's Dan Campbell. Two fourth-quarter conversions to touchdowns turned out to be the difference of this game. And how about Jameson Williams with Amon-Ra St. Brown exiting early, giving many fantasy managers a goose egg? So, if you started him, oof. The person I went to against the Guillotine League, who ultimately won the league, I didn't have much of a chance there. I'll break down the breakdown in a bit. But, yeah, has a data nerd mode with Amon-Ra St. Brown hurt. Jameson Williams saw a season-high 37% target share against the Packers. It was the first double-digit game this season. He had 10. And yeah, just Lions in the world are hurt. They need to win tonight in the biggest way. Pick the Cowboys and their rhythm and their momentum to keep going, or do the Lions somehow bounce back, even without LaPorta and now the Sun God? Second game of the triple header. Cowboys absolutely stunned the Chiefs 31-28. How about all those penalties for the Kansas City Chiefs? And yeah, boy, Rashid Rice had himself a game. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, just certain players you went up against, you were cringing as you were watching in fantasy. And you know who's cringing also? The Chiefs, because if they lose their next game, they drop to less than a 1% chance for seeds 1 to 6 and only 8% chance for seed 7. 8% chance for seed 7. Oof, now you know why Rich Eisen is posting videos saying he's finally conceding that the 6-6 Chiefs might be done. Yeah. Then the final games, you had two games that were definitely competitive. Game 1, Game 2 competitive, went to the end. They were definitely nail-biters. They kept you interested, but what did keep you interested was the Bengals and the Ravens. All of a sudden, Lamar Jackson, just another single-digit fantasy day. Bengals, even without their full wide receivers, every time you turn around, Jamar Chase is suspended because of spinning. T. Higgins still in that concussion protocol. He might not play for even Week 14. Kind of crazy, but the Bengals get the job done. Who doesn't get the job done? The Ravens. They unexpectedly went away from Derrick Henry. Still had himself a decent game, but could have been way, way, way more. And how about this Lamar and Jackson nerd nugget here? He has scored fewer than 10 standard fantasy points in 3 consecutive games prior to this season in career games with 20-plus pass attempts. Jackson had 3 sub-10-point games total ever. So he's matched his career number in 3 consecutive games. Ouch. Maybe they need to take any more games that somebody might have smuggled in the locker room and put him away. Take him away again. Then, of course, the Bears and the Eagles. Oh, boy, just what a time for those Philadelphia Eagles. Oof, they go down 24-15. A.J. Brown gets his points in garbage time. But yeah, Bears are real. Ben Johnson takes off his shirt. People get free wieners in the Windy City. And 3 of the top 5 leaders in the NFL interceptions are all on the Chicago Bears. Byard 6, Wright 5, and Edmonds 4. How about the Bears? They are real. And Eagles are hurting. A lot of 2023 collapse talk. That's what they're comparing this year to. You even had the OC's house egg to set in the presser that crossed the line. Yeah, I don't blame him. It's like You want to be ticked off against people because of your fantasy teams or you lost a bet. That's one thing. Just don't vandalize people's property. It's uncool. Then we go to Sunday. It's Rams and Panthers. Oh, how about being vandalized? That would be the Rams. Davante Adams currently leading the league. 14 receiving touchdowns this season. Next closest, yeah, that'd be the Sun God. 9 as the Panthers stun the Rams 31-28. Yeah, Rico Dowdle managers definitely worried. Definitely worried. All of a sudden, Rico Dowdle had the 2 games where he absolutely feasted. Chuba Hubbard outsnapped Rico Dowdle 38-27 in week 13. The worry is real. Another team worrying, yeah, that'd be the Browns. Oh boy, and Ricky Pearsall managers. Browns lose, go down as 49ers stomp them 26-8. All that Shooter Sanders talk is up in smoke. And how about Ricky Pearsall in his 3 games since returning from injury? Are you ready? Not exactly what you would call good numbers. 1-0, 2-8, and 3.4. And that's 2.8, not 28. PPR points. I don't think that's progress, kids. And how about Harold Fannin led the Browns in routes run in week 13? Because somebody had to. They don't have much of an offense, as you saw today. So 49ers go 9-4. Excuse me, Browns still looking for their 4th win. Didn't come in week 13. Then you have Texans and the Colts. The curse wheel strikes again. Colts go down 20-16. Texans win, get to 7-5. Colts even closer to 500 as Daniel Jones playing out of his mind with a broken leg. How about some quick facts from this game? Nico Collins is averaging 16.3 PPR points per game since week 1. Michael Pittman has seen 44 targets over the Colts' last 6 games. Alec Pierce, might have heard of him, has 42. Deep thought likes that figure. Jonathan Taylor had a season-high 20% target share against the Texans, but Texans prove you stuff and stop Jonathan Taylor. You can meet the Colts. And how about this? Jaden Higgins is averaging 12.5 PPR points per game over his last 4. Might be someone to plug in if you need him, if you get him, and not on a bye. Because how about a bye going into week 14, right before the playoffs, and we all have to deal with flipping byes. Dolphins get by the Saints somehow, 21-17, and yeah, if the Patriots win, Dolphins are officially knocked out of the AFC East race. Nobody's really shocked about that. How about cool fact? Mike McDaniel reveals that Miami's defensive headsets apparently were not working on Miami's 98-yard interception return, and that Green Dot player Tyrell Dotson was calling his own defense. That worked out pretty well. And yeah, if you started Taysom Hill, whole lot of white whale play. Just 12 snaps against the Dolphins. 12. Yeah, that's not many fantasy points, and you know who also didn't have too many fantasy points? How about Tua Tagovailoa is averaging just 10.4 standard fantasy points per game without Tyreek Hill this year. You need a Chris Olave, on the other hand, is quietly the WR7 in PPR and WR11 in PPG. Now, another game, don't have a lot for this game, as the Jets out-Falcon the Falcons 27-24. And just start from this game has to be Adonai Mitchell. All of a sudden, you're just a sort of a pariah after his goal line drop. Now, all of a sudden, he's turned into a major starter and a major factor for fantasy, as he's probably a name. You're thinking, okay, my son got out. There's Adonai Mitchell out there on the waiver. Should I go get him and plug him in? Hey, don't think about it too much. That's the best way I can say for that. Don't think about it too much. And oh boy, as the Buccaneers are probably happy that the Falcons lost, because they had a bit of a nail biter against the Cardinals, winning 20-17, game that saw Baker Mayfield pass a touchdown to Tristan Wirfs and helped absolutely nobody in fantasy. And how about, you got to feel for Marvin Harrison Jr. He learned post game that the Cardinals were eliminated from the playoff contention. So, yeah, Bucks getting some good news. Mike Evans practicing on the horizon. Jalen McMillan has been cleared by the doctor to practice. So all of a sudden, the Bucks are looking to get some major reinforcements. So all of a sudden, are they going to become dangerous? Late. I think. Yes. So yeah, the slump may be over, kids. Booyah. Team that the slump isn't over, yeah, that'd be the Titans, 25-3. They still have not gotten their second win this season as the good Jaguars showed up for Week 13. Cam Ward still hasn't had a game this year. With multiple touchdown passes, the Titans are currently averaging fewer than 1.0 offensive touchdowns per game. I think that's bad. Then, speaking of bad, how about the Seahawks shutting out the Vikings 26-0. I feel sorry for anybody who is desperate enough to start Max Brosmer. As bad a week as I had in fantasy in some cases, at least I did not start Max freaking Brosmer. So, yeah. Vikings just, they seem to be returning to the all too familiar QB market this offseason. They should have kept Darnold, and it's bad when Thielen asked for a release and the team granted. And how about winding up on the Steelers? That's kind of crazy. And also didn't have a good game yet. Jackson Smith and Jigba saw season lows in target share, just 17% in PPR points, 4.3 on Sunday. It was the first time he scored fewer than 20 PPR points in a game since week 4. Yeah, ups and downs in fantasy. Boom, that really let you down this week. But really let everybody down, fantasy and reality. How about Max freaking Brosmer, who scored, are you ready? Minus 3.1 standard fantasy points against the Seahawks. Is that bad? That's the first time a quarterback with at least 20 pass attempts scored fewer than minus 3 points since Davis Mills in 2021. Is just the 7th time it's happened since 2017. The number is 11. How can you score fewer than negative points? Wouldn't that be greater? But I digress, as you have Raiders and the Chargers. Of course, Chargers win 31-14. Herbert will have surgery on his non-throwing hand, and he did have surgery. It was successful, and now it's a pain tolerance issue. Whether or not he will play next week. If not, look for Trey Lance to handle the Chargers. Also, probably a good thing O'Marion Hampton is trending towards returning in Week 14. So I don't know for that Monday night. If it's Trey Lance, you kind of doing a little bit of for folks like McConkey and the rest of that offense. But we'll see. You never know with the Chargers. Another team never know with it. That doesn't mean the Steelers. That of course got a shellacking at Heinz Field. Not actually sure. Got smacked by the Bills 26-7. It was close at halftime. After half, not so much. And is Aaron Rodgers one of the worst quarterbacks in the National Football League? The Steelers claim the former Vikings wide receiver Adam Thielen. And it's interesting that happened after the whole Tomlin, you can't eat soup with a fork comment. So, yeah, Steelers have a lot of work to get back to the magic Tomlin numbers. Not even sure if that's going to happen this year. But yeah, good day for the Bills. Josh Allen's back. Aaron Rodgers not. So yeah, oofa. And it was a good thing they didn't flex that game to the Sunday night game, because originally you look at the schedule, you go Broncos can Commanders, Bills and Steelers probably going to be better. Not so much. Speaking of Broncos and Commanders, the Broncos escape in overtime, 27-26. Terry McLaurin versus Denver's defense, definitely scary again. 24 targets, 7 receptions, 96 yards, 1 touchdown. That almost won the Commanders the game. But yeah, so close yet so far. Commanders 3-9, Broncos 10-2, and one of the surprise sexy games of the day. Bo Nix looked good. Marcus Mariota or Mariota also looked good, so that was a good day. Good day. Allen started off he finished with a banger for Sunday. Good day for reality, good day for fantasy. So just a good day all around for this game. Would have been nicer if the Commanders would have won, add a little bit more parity in the league, but Broncos are good. They win ugly, they win fantastic. Who knows with this team going into the playoffs? They could go divisional, they could go deep, they could get knocked out in the wild card round. Who literally knows? And then finishing up with one of the more perplexing games of the week, yeah, that'd be Giants and Patriots. Oof, 33-15. It was anything but close. A lot of physicality, a lot of all because of Dart getting tackled. Dude, stop running into people. He's going to get concussed out of the league. He just really is. You had Patriots Christian Ellis explaining, because he was one of the players that Giants folks took exception with and got a little physical with it. He said, explaining his hit on Dart. Quote, I thought he was going to go out of bounds, and then I saw him tiptoeing, so I was like, stay in bounds. What am I supposed to do? We play hard on defense. That's all I was trying to do, is just do my job. And oof, and of course you had the worst field goal history kick ever, as even Charlie Brown was wincing when Young Wei Koo did that. We're still trying to figure out what kind of move it was, but oof, yeah, I'm sure you've seen the clip. It's horrible. If you haven't, go back and look at it and just have your mind be blown. One of the worst field goal kick attempts in the history of field goal attempts. But yeah, and then of course, how about Abdul Carter? 13 games into his rookie season, Abdul Carter has had more benchings too than sacks, 1.5, and he got the one of those sacks on that game Monday night. But yeah, and my final thought, or at least the first part, is yeah, just a word to yeah. When you see a story, make sure to verify it, because there was a story that went pretty viral around social media that Abdul Carter was suspended a quarter because he was caught in a team meeting watching pornography. Yeah, seems legit enough until you realize that it's a parody satire account that posted that story. The real reason he was late for a meeting was why he was suspended, but the parody post got shared everywhere. I saw it on Facebook, I saw it on Reddit and the Urinating Tree when somebody was coming up with the LOL cows of the week, and that was one of the nominations. Somebody pointed out in the comments that quote, in fact, that story was a like Renac would say, it's a fake. So yeah, just a word of caution. You know, when you see something on social media, make sure to check it out first. Yeah, because something seems probably too good to be true. It probably is. Alright, so that's the recaps, such as they were, as we go now to fantasy as it was. Of course, we'll start off with the worst one. I'm out of the Guillotine League. Yeah, so yeah. I click League. I go to League, and it comes up with you're still dead. As of course, we go to the recaps as we try to find it. So week 14, no, week 13. That's what we want. No, we don't want the scores. We want the recaps. Why do you have sometimes? But yeah, it was just I lost. I really had to get something like 50 or 60 points. Basically, I know it was actually 70 or 80 points, and didn't even get close because the final score was something like 100 them to 77 to me. So I missed it by 30 points, and it didn't matter anyway because their final season points 1442 compared to my 1220. Not even close, kids. Missed by a mile. I was enough to hurdle over the other team to not be cut off last week. But yeah, I just had some major bummers. Zephon Diggs let me down again. Jackson Smith and Jigba let me down big time. Jahmyr Gibbs, 10 points, not bad, but compared to what he had last week, he kind of let me down a little bit, and it was just all over the board. Even if I started Jameson Williams, yeah, that wouldn't have helped too much because it would have gotten a little bit closer, but not close enough to get the moral victory. So, Yahoo is over with and done. Of course, come what may, we won. We won quite nicely, so didn't have to worry. Did not have to worry about the Monday Night Miracle in either Yahoo League other game, which was kind of nice. It was kind of nice going into the weekend, not having to worry at all, and just sort of kicking back, chilling out as I ended up winning, of course, rounding up 127 to 100. A better time for this game as Drake May, of course, had himself a good game to win. Stephon Diggs was invisible. Michael Wilson, all the hype. Basically invisible. Then you had Lad McConkey, he got in the end zone, so that saved his fantasy week. Bijan, of course, better of most of the players out there as he had the volume and got in the end zone. Rico Dowdle, of course, being a timeshare with Chuba Hubbard, so that, of course, affects him and knocks his effectiveness down. Mark Andrews kept out of the end zone. Okay, point PPR, but nothing great. Zach Charbonnet got in the end zone, and that saved his day because he only had 52 rushing yards. Otherwise, Jason Myers, you know it's not a good time when the Seattle kicker gets 19 points and he outscores, are you ready? He outscores your flex. He outscores your tight end. He outscores your running back 2. Not your running back 1, though. He outscores your wide receiver 2. Your wide receiver 3, 2, and 1. But not your quarterback. So that's when you know it was not a good week. It was a lucky one. It was a lucky one. Should have started Alex Pierce. He went off on my bench, 17 points. Chuba Hubbard should have started him instead of Rico Dowdle. He had 20 points as opposed to, Bucky Irvin. Welcome back. Bucky got in the end zone and saved his day. Also had 61 yards. Trevor Lawrence would have been a good start, even over Drake May. He had 21 points in the win, 2 touchdowns, 229 yards, and the K-Dot kind of silent, kind of invisible, and of course, the other, as I like to call it, alternate 10-team league. As we go to the recap there, let's see some players who are similar with this league as the last week. We go back in the time machine. In week 14 in the HTML time machine, set it to the back, winning 135 to 103 around the up. Bo Nix, of course, 321 passing yards in the overtime win, 1 passing touchdown. Boom Shakalaka, not quite 20 points, but pretty decently. J-Mo, I did start Jameson Williams in this game, 23 fantasy points, got in the end zone, nice volume. Romeo Doubs, got a touchdown. That pretty much saved his fantasy day. Bijan already talked about. Jalen Warren, touchdown saved his fantasy day because otherwise it would have been near to invisible like the Pittsburgh offense. Theo Johnson, he was invisible. Not much there. Rico Dowdle already talked about. And Tyler, he kind of disappointed you because he's had a decent fantasy season, but then near invisible like the Ravens offense, and then Seattle feasted. Seattle flipping absolutely feasted. 4 interceptions, 1 touchdown on poor Max Brosmer. Checking the bench players, Sam Darnold. I'm glad I didn't start him. He didn't do well like JSN. 3 fantasy points. Sam Darnold, 3 fantasy points, just 126 passing yards and 1 fumble lost. T. Higgins, of course, out. Have to see if he's back this week in concussion protocol. DeAndre Swift, as they ran all over poor Philly and Monangai. 20 fantasy points. Hollywood Brown saving his fantasy night with the touchdown because that was pretty much it. Zach Charbonnet already talked about it. Parker Washington near freaking visible. So Guillotine League out. It's done. Both other teams, so where are we? Where are we in the league? That would be, as we wait for the internet to do its thing, come on, standing. Come on, standing. Why aren't we loading? Now, not loads, of course, when I press F5. So, here we go. Get the standing. Yay, and I am fifth place. Record of 7-6, 1298, right smack in the middle there of the league. As the first place team, 10-3, both 10-3s. One has 14-12 points, the other 13-30 points. So, yeah. Then we go to the number one. The number one league, as we wait for the internet to do its thing. Yay, and we go to the standings that we hope will actually work the very first time when we put some. Yay, they do. That's always exciting. And same exact deal. Fifth place. That's Groundhog Day. Fifth place. 7-6, 17-24. How about this? How about this for points? All right, this is kind of interesting point-wise. 1785, that's the first place 10-3 team. 1814 is the 8-5 second place team. 1749 is the third place team. Fourth place team is 8-5, 1346. And I, with 1724 points, I should be second effing place because of the freaking records of some bump losses. I am fifth freaking place because fantasy football. So yeah, I think we'll save the sleeper teams for another time, as we're already almost into a half an hour, and we'll wrap it up. I already did the final thought earlier, just reminding, if you see something on social media, make sure to verify and check it out. I think that was a John Mellencamp song, right? Check it out. Yeah, but make sure to check it on out before you share it on out, because it may be like Senator Vreenak. It's a fake. So, oh, I almost forgot, I'm picking Cowboys tonight. I'm picking Cowboys. I think they have the rhythm. They have the healthier offense over the Lions, who are missing Sun God, who are missing Laporta. And I think that's going to be definitely a key factor in that game, because you have Lamb, you have Pickens, you even have Ferguson, you have Javonte Williams. I think even though you have the two running backs, you have Sonic and Knuckles on the Lions, I think the more complete offense right now, and the healthier offense, is the almost said Detroit Cowboys. Went to an alternate universe. The Dallas Cowboys. I just think they are the more complete and healthier offense right now. I think they win. I think it's a nail biter. I think it comes down to the 2-minute warning or right before in the fourth quarter. And it's one to stay up for. But picking Cowboys, and I'm blinking and I'm not thinking, because I think I trust them a little bit more than I trust the Cowboys after they got smacked around. But now we'll see. That probably means the Lions will win, and we'll start off the week 0-1. But who knows? Because it's the NFL, and like Jim Morrow once said, you think you know what you don't know, and you never will. So have a fantastic Thursday. Take care, everybody, and I'll talk at you next time, and we'll look at the two sleeper teams. Boom shakalaka, and I'm Joel Merlin.